Dear students, today, as part of our paper personality development, we are about to discuss a key topic entitled emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is variously identified as emotional leadership, emotional quotient, and emotional intelligence quotient. What is emotional intelligence actually? It is the capability of individuals to recognize their own emotions and those of others and distinguish between different feelings and label them appropriately. Use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior and manage or adjust emotions to adapt to environments or achieve one's goals. So, this is a very long definition you have. You have to first of all distinguish between various feelings and label them appropriately. So, when you are sitting and reading a book and you are coming across some sad episodes and you feel sad and you feel or empathize like being in that particular situation depicted in the book, but it is not in actuality a sadness. So you are able to distinguish, or you should be able to distinguish between reality and what has been depicted in the book or the imaginary world. So emotional intelligence is that part where you are able to do that and label that as real and unreal. How you are able to do this is through emotional information which guides our thinking and behavior. So if you are in a train and if you are reading that book and you feel the same emotions, you may not be able to express that as you are in a situation where you are alone. So in a social phenomenon or in a social situation, you may not be able to deliver the same kind of emotions as you are in your family or in a well known circle. So, one of my friends who is a great scholar, if you ask him what is the worst kind of feeling in a human being, he would say that it is self pity or self sympathy. So, in programs that are predominantly telecasted in television channels, you may come across people opening their personal life and mentioning that they have come across various difficulties in life and make other people empathize with them. So, you being a visitor of that TV or a viewer of that TV, you are able to empathize with the situation. So, it shows that your emotional intelligence and capability and correlate yourself with the situation of that person who is expressing his feelings is showing that you are very healthy. But at the same time, the person who is able to open his personal life at a very simple moment is called emotional imbalance. So every person is coming across a lot of difficulties, lot of challenges in life, and one has to have that capability to contain that. And if somebody opens his personal life and says that this is what I have experienced and my parents are the worst people in the world, my family is not a good family, others may be able to empathize that, but life is a long continuum. So a father who has been very strict in his early stages might have become very liberal, accommodative, loving in the later period. So if you are able to give judgment in between, then his particular character may not change, or he may realize that changing from one time to another is not going to bear fruits, and therefore early comments and unrealizing of every family having similar experience is something which is depictive of unexperienced nature of the individual who is expressing these kinds of ideas. So, emotional intelligence as an idea emerged as early as in 1964, but it gained popularity only in the 1990s when Daniel Goleman, a science journalist, he brought forth his book Emotional Intelligence. In his book Emotional Intelligence, Daniel Goleman predominantly deals with the subject empathy. Empathy is typically associated with emotional intelligence because it relates to an individual connecting their personal experience with those of others. So, emotional intelligence uh, gives you an opportunity to connect your personal experience with others and share others' experience as yourself. So, in that way, you are made to realize that you are part and parcel of the society at large. However, several models exist and tries to bring out to measure the empathy level and tries to correlate each individual because the same kind of empathy A expresses on the situation where X has been put forth cannot be similarly empathized by B. So this difference is there. So how to measure that? Various tools have been developed by psychologists and scientists. These studies assume importance because studies have shown that people with high emotional intelligence have greater mental health and also they perform their jobs well and they possess leadership skills better than others. In fact, Coleman attributed 67% of abilities in an individual to his ability to manage emotional intelligence. 67 in the sense two-thirds of a man's personality is based on emotional intelligence. However, the basic definition of Coleman has been broken by later psychologists and they gave importance to ideas such as perceiving, using, understanding, and managing emotions. These abilities are distinct yet interrelated. So, perceiving is something that every one of us do. A child looks at a fat person and thinks that he is dangerous. But being adult and matured people, we deeply see into persons, their abilities, their constant behavior, and we try to analyze what kind of human being he is and what is his relevance, and we have to take considerable quantum of time. So if a newspaper is producing a news pertaining to an individual, then you should not pass judgment on that particular individual based on the news you have gathered. So you have to take considerable time to inform your own perception. So after coming to a judgment about that person, this larger frame is called perceiving. So based on this perceiving, you have to use the information and you have to accordingly empathize with the person, or you have to put yourself in that particular situation and realize what should have happened. So perceiving and using, that is looking deep into the situation through a period of time with considerable patience, then you have to adapt to the situation and accordingly you have to broadly understand issues and then you have to manage your emotions. So this is how matured people they develop. So 67 percentage of people, we are saying that 67 percentage of these emotions contribute for good leadership. So people in leadership, they tend to form such opinions and they move on by making decisions and take appropriate guidelines to manage such people. However, these ideas have also been subjected to substantial disagreement and is contested as not forming the definition of emotional intelligence with respect to both terminology and operationalization. Therefore, three important models on emotional intelligence were evoked. Those are called ability model, mixed model, and trait model. Emotional quotient forms the core of emotional intelligence, and many scholars they do not distinguish between emotional intelligence and emotional quotient. So, emotional quotient is tested through some kind of objective questionnaire, and it has been categorized into five important categories, among which three are about the self and two pertains to others. So the three pertaining to self is self awareness, self regulation, and motivation, and the two pertaining to others are empathy and social skills. Self awareness here is largely emotional awareness and also self confidence. Self regulation constitutes five important subcategories that are self control, trustworthiness, conscientiousness, adaptability, and innovation. Self control is managing of disruptive impulses. So, if you are coming across a failure, you should be able to control the negative impulse that tries to overtake you. So, that is very important. Hence, self regulation and also emotional intelligence. So, trustworthiness means maintaining standards of honesty and integrity at any level of challenge. Conscientiousness is taking responsibility of your own performance. Adaptability is handling change with flexibility. So, if a person from village is dropped in an urban situation, he has to adapt to that. So, that kind of flexibility has to be there in personalities if at all we expect to be emotionally intelligent. So, innovation is the last particular idea of self regulation, by which we mean being open to new ideas. So, motivation is constituted by four important ideas, which are achievement drive, commitment, initiative, and optimism. By achievement drive, we mean to say that you are constant striving to improve or to meet the standard of excellence. So, if you are employed or if you are admitted as a student in a particular institution, so there are expectations from such institutions to which you should adapt and contribute. So, that is the achievement drive. And individually, you should also have motivation to have an achievement drive beyond your capabilities, and you have to improve your capabilities accordingly. So, commitment is aligning with the goals of the group or organization. So, a group is having some commitment or as a target, and you are thinking that target cannot be achieved and it is useless to fix such a target, then you are an odd man out in the group. So, that is not correct. So, you should motivate yourself and have motivation, and you should also motivate others to have such standards. So, initiative, so readying yourself to act on opportunities. So, in the group somebody is absent or you are provided with the leadership, then you have to take up the responsibility and initiate the next steps. Optimism is pursuing goals persistently despite obstacles and setbacks. So, nextly, it is empathy, about which we have discussed widely. I will try to reorient on that. So, service orientation is the first part. Anticipating, recognizing, and meeting clients' needs is something which is very important, which is forming the part of empathy. And developing others, leveraging diversity. So, you have to develop others with their problems, and you should encourage them, and you should also cultivate opportunities through diverse people. So, you should try to promote the welfare of people who are dependent on you. So, that is very important as a person with empathetic qualities. Political awareness, so that you can relate yourself with the group's emotional currents, is very important, as well as understanding ability. Finally, social skills. The development of good interpersonal skills is tantamount to success in your life and career. in today's and always connected world, that is you are always connected to the other side of the world by WhatsApp or Facebook or social media or telephone or television, so on and so forth. We have lot of things to connect yourself with the outside world, and you are constantly connected. So you have to have a technical knowledge to have this skill to connect with the world. So that is the social skill, that is the expectation of the time. So people's skill or people skills are even more important now, because you must now possess a high EQ to better understand, empathize and negotiate with others in a global economy. So with these observations on the topic emotional intelligence and emotional quotient and managing emotional intelligence, I conclude my lecture. Thank you very much.